Okay, so we've been working with systems of equations, and now we're going to apply these to word problems. So the first 6 questions are just incorporating math terms: sum, difference, product, quotient. And then the next part, starting with number 7, moving on to the second page, it will lead into kind of more real world examples of when a system would be applied. So the first thing, I know a lot of you like to skip through the top part of worksheets, but please don't. So these are word problems. The first thing that you need to do is define variables. And then you're going to set up your equations and solve and identify the answer. Okay, so specifically our variables, hopefully you remember that our variables we are working with are simply x and y. Some equations might specifically tell you which variables to use. This one, we're just going to stick with x and y because we're going to be plotting, graphing. And then you set up your equations and solve just like you normally would. You could use the graphing, elimination, substitution, whichever one they specifically tell you to use, or whichever one is most appropriate. And then identify your answer. This would be your order pair. Okay, so when we go through, I'm going to just kind of skip around a little bit. So again, if you watch the video and you have questions, please see me with those questions or send me an email. Okay, so the first one is the sum of 2 numbers is 30. So all we know is that we're going to add these 2 numbers. In this case, I'm going to put x and y is equal to 30. All right, and then we're going to take their difference, which is 12. Difference means subtraction, so we have x minus y, and that is going to be 12. So finding the 2 numbers in this case, this one isn't horrible because you have a positive and a negative right here, which will cancel each other out. So you would have 1x plus 1x. Remember, when there's no symbol, it's just a plus, okay? So we have 2x, and these would equal 0, and then that would equal 42. So you solve it like an equation, divide by 2, your x would equal 21. So x is 21. I'm going to write it off to the side over here. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plug in my x, which is 21, and I'm going to plug that in for... Okay, so we're going to use our x value, which is 21, and we're going to replace it. And you can pick either one. I'm just going to go ahead and replace it for the first one. So we have 21 plus y equals 30. I'm going to subtract 21. Y equals 9. So our value for y is 9. So our solution is 21, 9. Okay. I'm going to skip number 2. Number 2 is similar to number 1. And then number 3 and 4 are similar. So I'm going to kind of pick and choose. So I'm going to jump over to 4. So I did 1, 2 will help. 1 will help number 2. And I'm going to do number 4 just to give me some space in between. So number 4 will help you with number 3. All right, so the sum of 2 numbers is 36. So the sum of 2 numbers is 36. And then I'm going to translate the second one, which is twice the first number. Twice the first number, so 2 times x, minus the second, and is 6. So again, figuring out which one can you get rid of. And in this case, we can easily get rid of the y's. So that will eliminate these 2. So then we have 1x plus 2, which is 3x, equals, because that's 0, equals 42. 42 divided by 3. X will equal, X will equal, what is that? 14? 14. All right, and I'm going to take 14. I'm going to plug it back in for x. And again, you can pick whichever one. So I'm just going to go with the first one. 14 plus y equals 36. Solve for y. And that will give you 22, y equals 22. So your solution is 14, 22. And again, like I said, number 4 will help you work with number 3. And again, pause these, go back, rewind. I know sometimes I talk fast. I know sometimes I go pretty quick. If you need to pause me and then continue on, that's fine as well. And if you have questions, email or come see me. All right. Next one, I'm going to go ahead and, I think 5 and 6 are similar to number 3 and 4. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take care of number 5, which will help you with number 6. All right, so again, the sum of two numbers is 20. So x plus y equals 20. And then the second one is going to be the difference between, all right, so 3 times the first number. Then I'm going to subtract twice the second is 40. So none of these have the opposite coefficient. So we're going to have to either convert or eliminate. I'm just going to kind of continue on with my elimination. So I'm going to find my common factor. And I think the easiest one is to stick with 2, or you could do 3, ideally either one. So multiply by 2, so that would give me 2x plus 2y equals 40. Remember, you apply the 2 to every single thing inside. Basically, you're distributing. And now that will give me my coefficients that are opposite, so I can get rid of my y's. All right, so that would be 5x. That goes away. That equals 0 equals 80. 80 divided by 5. So x would equal, what is that, 1, 3, 16? All right, so your x is 16. And I'm going to plug my 16 in for this one right here. So 16 plus y equals 20. I'm going to subtract 16. Y is going to equal 4. Okay. All right, so again, 5 will help you with 6. And then 7 is going to help you with the next group of problems because they're geared towards word problems. This is where you're going to want to continue using your x and y and identify what they are. Before it was easy because we were just doing variables, but now the variables have meaning. So the first thing, according to the top, is define your variables. And yes, we're going to stick with our x and y. Only this time I'm going to have my x equal my envelopes and my y will equal my notebook paper. Okay, so again, they're just specific, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to translate the values. So we've identified the variable and now we're going to pick the first one. So we have 3 boxes of envelopes and 4 boxes of notebook paper, and that's going to equal 1325. My second equation is 2 boxes of envelopes and 6 boxes of notebook paper, and that's going to cost me 17. A calculator would be very handy at this point because I think a lot of people are making silly mistakes because 17 turns into 17.00 because we're dealing with money. And then some people are forgetting that they need to continue on figuring out the common multiples. So this one is going to be quite lengthy because there's no common thing that you can eliminate. So we have to make something that's common. So in this case, I am going to change this one to equal 6 and then this one to equal 6 as well. But in this case, I'm going to use a negative because I need them to be opposites. So top one will be 6x plus 8y, and 13 times 2 is 2650. And then -3 times 2x, that would be -6 minus 18y. And 3 times 17 is, oh man, 17. 3 times 17 is 51. And now I can go ahead and combine them. So this will equal our 0 that we need. Positive 8, negative 18 would be a negative 10y. And, oh, don't forget my minus, I'm sorry. That's a negative right there. So 2650 minus 51, people. This is where some people were trying to subtract back. They're going down, up, down. No, you cannot do that. So if you do 26.50 minus 51, type it in the calculator that way, and you will get negative 2450, which is fine. But you should not get 2650, which is where some people were. All right, and then I'm going to divide by negative 10. Negative divided by a negative is, in fact, a positive, and that ends up equaling a positive 245. So my y, the cost of my notebook paper, is 245. So then I'm going to take this value, and I'm going to plug it in for my y value, and either one is fine. So 3x plus 4 times 245 equals 1325. Sorry about that. I think that's the problem with these ones, is they are quite lengthy problems. And I know a lot of you like to give up. Please don't. It's just calculating. And yes, you can use your calculator. All right, yeah, 1325. I'm going to subtract 9.8. Hopefully, if I can use my correct. So again, you make more mistakes when you're working with the calculator, so just be mindful, please. If there's anything that you see that I did wrong, please let me know, because I feel like this looks weird. So we have 3x, 4 times 245. 4 times 245 is 9.8. 1325. I'm just double checking my math. And I'm going to divide by 3. Sweet. All right, so x equals $1.15. So my x, and yes, these are not going to be perfect numbers, but when you go back over here, you're going to have 1.15 comma 2.45, and this would be your solution. Again, we're dealing with money, so this one would be okay. It's just going to be in between. All right, that was long. I'm sorry. All right, don't forget to ask me questions, pause it, all the good stuff. Okay, thanks.